Okie dokie. So again, I'm really reluctant to shut the sun out, but if you can't see me, just wave frantically and I will close the blind. Oh, hi Dom, nice to see you. Glad you made it. Okie dokie. So let's come stand, feet together, and then just step toes apart, bring heels in line with toes. We'll just take that bit of time just to check in with how we're doing this evening. Hi Janice, glad you made it. So just checking in with how we're feeling. Maybe starting with your feet, noticing where you feel that contact with the floor. And then scanning slowly up through your ankles, lower legs. Noticing how your knees feel around the thighs and around your hips. And just noticing lower back, pelvis, how the upper back and the shoulders feel, the chest. And just noticing how your arms are, your hands. And then finally your neck and your head. Just taking in all that information, trying not to analyse it. And then when you're ready, just starting to roll the ankles in and out gently. And notice how they are this evening, how they move, if they move, how the one side compares to the other. And as they roll in and out, just noticing how that changes the feeling all the way up through your legs, into your lower back, into your tummy. And then just bring those to a nice middle position. And then we're actually just going to take the toes out once more and bring the heels in line. So we're just a little bit wider. And then soften through the knees. And we'll have a little tilt through the pelvis, just forward and back. So just getting that little bit of flexion and then extension through the lower back. And then we'll just come into neutral. So nice little bit of lift through the tummy. Widen across the collarbones. And just let your head float on up towards the ceiling. Just lengthening your neck and lengthening the rest of the spine with that. Just have a couple of deep breaths here. Really nice big breath in through the nose, really fill the body up with air. And then breathing out, emptying out all that air, every last little drop. And then we'll add in those shoulders. So as you breathe in, drawing those up to the ears, and then breathing out, and just letting them drop down. And just keeping the head floating up towards the ceiling. Neck nice and long. That nice and relaxed. Just do a couple more. Really letting all those muscles switch off around the shoulders. Last one. And then keeping those knees soft, we're going to slowly start to side bend a little to one side and then side bend back a little to the other. And just start really small, just noticing how that feels through your back. Breathing out as you side bend one way, breathing in to come through the centre and breathing out to side bend the other way. Hi Julia. And just gradually going a little bit further, noticing how far the hand comes down the side of the one leg and then the other side. And maybe just imagine that you are sandwiched in between two panes of glass, one in front of you and one behind you. And you can only move side to side in between those two panes. And then we're going to add a little bit of a reach overhead with that other arm. So just reaching up towards the ceiling and then coming back through, sliding the other hand down, reaching that other hand up towards the ceiling. So just starting to get a little bit more stretch through that long side. Just noticing how that all feels in one direction and then in the other. So I definitely feel I can go a little bit easier to the right, just a little bit tighter to the left. So if it is a bit tighter one way, just think about a nice easy breath out as you come over. Almost let gravity pull you a little bit further. We'll just go a couple more to each side. Last one each way. I've got a lovely clump coming through my right shoulder. It's beautiful. And then back to centre. So we'll keep the feet where we are. We're going to do some arm openings. So bring both arms out in front of you and just up to shoulder height. We're going to keep those feet a little bit wide. Shoulders nice and heavy. And we're just going to breathe in to open and breathe out to come back again. And then the same the other way. And we're keeping our hips pointing forwards. So we're just getting that rotation through the upper body. Breathing in to open up. Breathing out to come back again. And really check those shoulders are sat heavy on top of the rib cage. There's no effort to hold them up. They're just completely supported by the skeleton there. Just think about the shoulder blade leading the arm back, fingertips leading the hand forward. Just go one more to each side. And back to centre. Have a little shake through those hands. And then we're just going to literally like sort of turn and reach one arm across and then turn and reach the other arm across. So you can just let the other hand come behind you, kind of let the body follow, just turning the whole of that upper body and reaching across as if you're trying to touch the wall on one side and then touch the wall on the other side. Breathing out to reach. Breathing in to come back. And again, head floating up, shoulders nice and heavy. Just feeling that nice bit of rotation through there. And we'll just go a couple more to each side. And then back to centre. We're going to bring those feet wider still, and we're going to do some of our lunges side to side. So just keep the legs still to start with. We're going to breathe out to bend through the one knee, fold forwards at the hips, and then come back through the other way. So breathing out as you come across, breathing in, and then breathing out to go back across the other way. You could have hands on hips, you could have hands together, whatever feels more relaxed and comfortable for you. But just really keeping the outside of that foot anchored to the mat as you come across. Really sending those seat bones back out behind you. So you're getting that stretch down through the inside of one leg and then through the inside of the other. And then we're going to add a bit of a reach. So we're going to reach forward as we come across. And the same the other way. So just reaching those hands out and forwards. Not too far, keeping those shoulders relaxed. Just a little reach. Breathing out as you lunge and reach. Breathing in as you come back. And then we're going to reach towards the foot that we leave behind. So breathing in to come up through the centre, breathing out to lunge and reach towards the foot that we left behind. And just still sending those seat bones right back out behind you. Doesn't matter if you don't get towards or all the way to the foot, just a little reach towards. And we'll just go for one more each way. And come back up in the centre. Keeping those feet nice and wide. Just check toes are slightly turned in a little bit. We're going to really keep the legs strong. So imagine you've got like a beach ball in between your legs, just holding on to that. And we're going to do some roll downs with wide legs. So have a breath in. Think about head floating up towards the ceiling and then breathing out, little nod of the chin towards the chest and slowly peel yourself down towards the mat, keeping those knees soft. Have a breath in at the bottom. And then breathe out, really drop the tailbone, tuck the tailbone and peel all the way back up again. So from side on, exactly the same as when we have feet hip width apart, but just keeping those knees soft, legs wide, peeling down, keeping the tailbone reaching for the mat for as long as possible. And then that finally lifts. Nice big breath in at the bottom. And tuck the tailbone, lift through the tummy, and roll slowly back up again. We'll do a couple more of those. Breath in at the top, breathing out to peel down. Let the head hang down towards the mat. Nice big breath in at the bottom. Breathe out, tuck the tailbone, lift through the tummy and unroll. Back up. So when we get to the bottom of this next one, we're going to pause. So peeling down. Let the hands or the fingertips find the mat. If you need to just take your feet a little bit wider, do, or if you need a block under your hand in front, if you've got a book or something handy, go for it. And then we're just going to open that other hand up towards the ceiling and then release back. So breathing in to open up, breathing out to come back. You've got those seat bones flared up towards the ceiling. So you're looking to have your back as long and flat as possible. So breathing in to open, breathing out to come back. And if you want to make it a bit stronger, you can take the one hand all the way across towards the opposite foot as the other one goes up towards the ceiling. So just transferring across one way and then transferring across the other way. So lots of twisting. I really do need a haircut. Let's just go one more to each side. And then back to centre. A little pause, really soften through those knees, drop the tailbone and gently unroll all the way back up again and just heel toe those feet back in towards you. And then we'll come towards the top of the mat and we'll have feet hip width apart and we'll do just a couple more roll downs in our normal position. So let's have a nice reach up towards the ceiling first with these ones. Let's breathe in, take the hands up towards the ceiling. Breathe out and those hands come down and you come straight down into that roll down. Nice big breath in at the bottom and then breathing out to unroll all the way back up. And then big breath in again at the top, reaching up and then breathing out, arms come down and peeling straight down into the next one. In at the bottom. We'll do two more. Breathing out to unroll. Breathing in to reach up. And breathing out into the next one. Breathing out those shoulders stay lovely and relaxed. Nice fluid spine. Breathing out to unroll for the last time. Big breath in and reach up. And breathing out, peel down and just pause at the bottom here, either fingers on the mat or resting on the shins. We'll just have a pedal out through the back of the legs. So lifting the one heel, squeezing the other heel down into the mat, and then switching over. So just noticing how that feels down through the back of each leg. Really try to let the crown of the head hang towards the mat, shoulders nice and relaxed. And then let both heels come down, bend the knees, walk the hands forward, and we'll come down onto the mat and we will work into cat. Let's see if I come forwards, whether that's better than that or not. So we're going to have wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And just take that weight a little bit to one side and then a little bit to the other side. So just noticing if you automatically take that weight as far in one direction as you do in the other. And then just slowly bringing that back to centre. So we're going to work into cat. So when you're ready, breathing out, tuck the tailbone, round the back up towards the ceiling, let the head drop, and breathing in, lifting that tailbone, lengthening back to neutral, reaching the top of the head forwards. So just keep working with your breath, emptying out all of that air as you breathe out and round up. Lovely big breath in. You lengthen back again. And just notice how the back feels.
We want each of those little backbones moving really easily, independently. You feel like there's an area of your back that's a little bit stiff or stuck, just give it a little bit more time and attention. See if you can get that particular area moving a little more freely. Breathing out to round up, breathing in to come back. Then go for one more. Come back to centre. Just going to do a few scapular isolations. So keeping that neck in line with the rest of the spine. We're just going to breathe out, let the chest sink down. Breathe in to float back up again. Really check you've got those shoulders drawing away from your ears. That top of the head reaching forward. So you've got, again, as much length through the neck as possible. So elbows are staying nice and straight, keeping that lift through the tummy. Just feeling those shoulder blades come towards each other as you sink down, and they get pushed apart as you float back up. Let's go for a couple more. And then going back up. So we are going to do a little bit of plank. If your wrists would prefer to be down, the rest would prefer that you're down on your forearms, and do come down onto your elbows. Otherwise, we're going to stay in that position with wrists under shoulders. And whichever position you're in, we're just going to step one leg back, step the other leg back, and just hold that plank there for a couple of breaths. And then once you've done a couple of breaths, one knee down, and then the other knee down. But really just check before you step into your plank, you've got those shoulders drawing away from the ears. It's like you've wrapped the back of the armpits closed, rib cage is floating up, and that all stays the same as you just step one foot back and step the other foot back. Really reach back through the heels, reach forward through the top of the head. Hold for a couple of breaths, and then one knee down, other knee down. Breathe in. So option this time if you want to. One leg back, other leg back. You could come down onto one forearm and then onto the other forearm. Keep reaching back through those heels, hold for a breath or two. And then we're going to come back up onto one hand and back up onto the other hand. And then if you want to lift, rest rather, you can let one leg down, let the other leg down, or if you want to go again, come down onto the other elbow, and then the other side and hold. Again, really reaching back through those heels, trying to get a nice straight line, heel, hip, shoulders. Doesn't matter what you're up to. If you're just stepping in and out of plank, that's absolutely fine. If you're coming up and down between those straight arms and the elbows, that's grand. Whichever you prefer. Just make sure you have a rest whenever you need. So better to let your bottom be higher in the air than lower. Don't let the lower back sink. Whichever you're up to, we're just going to go for one more. So I'm going to come down onto my elbows one last time. Hold for a breath or two. And then back up again. So wherever you are, bring yourself back to that position where you've got both knees down and you're on your hands, and we'll drop the tailbone back to the heels, take the knees a bit wider, walk those hands forward, come down into shell, and just breathe into the back of the body there, nice deep breaths. So breathe in, feeling those ribs really opening and expanding at the back and the sides. And as you breathe out, they just sink and soften back again. And then when you're ready, we're all going to walk our hands across to the left. Find the stretch into the right side of the body. And just breathe into that right side. Really feeling those ribs move again. Feeling a little bit of an increase in stretch as you breathe in. And then really relax as you breathe out. And I'm going to put the right hand on top of the left. And as we breathe in, we're going to push down with that right hand, roll the body over to look under that right arm, and then breathe out to release back again. Breathing in, little push down through that right hand, look under that right arm, breathing out and release back. Just going for a couple more. Last one. And then we'll walk those hands around to the right. Find the stretch into the left side of the body. Just breathe into that left side. So again, feeling those ribs really opening up as you breathe in, increasing the stretch a little bit, and then they just sink and soften back as you breathe out. Really relax. We'll pop left hand on top of right. And as you breathe in, you're going to push down with that left hand, roll the body open, look under that left arm, and then breathe out to release back again. Breathing in to open up, breathing out to release back. Just notice how that feels this side compared to the other one. And we'll just go for a couple more. And then have a pause, walk those hands back to centre, and then walk them back up towards you, and we will come over onto our backs. We're going to work into bridge first, so have your head cushion somewhere nearby, but we won't need it straight away. So bring yourself down onto the mat. Make sure you've got that length through the back of the neck, arms reaching nice and long by your sides. And we'll have feet hip width apart, and just take a little bit of time to check in with where you feel the contact through the back of your body against the floor. So maybe just notice where you're holding any tension through the back of the body there. Maybe your back feels nice and soft and sort of sinking into the mat straight away. If it does, lucky you, happy days. If it doesn't, just maybe take note of where you feel the contact, where you feel there isn't so much contact, where the back or the shoulders aren't quite relaxing and releasing down. And then when you're ready, we'll just have a really nice big breath in, really fill the body up with air, and as you breathe out, empty out all of that air, let the body sink down into the floor. You could imagine, if you like, that your body is a giant balloon, and as you breathe in, that balloon really inflates, it fills right up, and then as you breathe out, that balloon completely deflates, all the air empties, and you just sink into the mat. Just notice, hopefully, that you get a little bit more contact across the whole of the back of the body. Notice your shoulders. See if you can find more width across the back of those shoulders. Can you find more contact with the mat there? Notice the back of your arms and whether you can feel the contact the same on each side. And then when you're ready, we're going to breathe in and gently roll the pelvis away from us. So just pushing the tailbone gently down into the floor. And then breathe out, roll the pelvis towards us, just allowing the lower back to sink into the floor. Just really nice, easy movement. Breathing in to roll the pelvis away from you. Tailbone pushing into the floor. Breathing out to roll the pelvis towards you. And just letting that lower back flatten into the mat. And just notice how that feels through that lower back, pelvis, hips. See if you can get that movement with your rib cage staying relatively undisturbed. So we're just thinking that that movement is coming mostly from the lower back as opposed to upper or mid. And then when you're ready, the next time, actually, let's just bring heels slightly closer in towards the bottom. So you've got those a little bit closer to you. And then breathing out, rolling that pelvis towards you, and just peel the back of the pelvis away from the mat and hold. And then breathe out to release back again. So keeping it super small to start with, just do a couple of those, getting that roll of the pelvis towards you, peeling just the back of the pelvis, hold for a breath in, and then breathe out to release away again. And then slowly start to come a little bit further each time. So peeling just 1 or 2 back bones up, hold, and then peeling back down again. And then the next one, maybe 3 or 4, hold, and gently back down. And just check your neck staying nice and relaxed, shoulders are staying nice and wide. That rib cage is always just sinking down. You want to feel like those bum muscles are working to squeeze the hips up, opening up through the front of those hips, but the ribs stay connected and sinking down through those ribs to peel down. If anyone would like to, you are welcome to take those arms back overhead, so they're like a Y shape, and that just challenges the mobility through the upper back a little bit more. Check shoulders are happy there, and just really make sure that it's one little backbone peeling away from the mat at a time, and then peeling back to the mat at a time. Breathing out to peel up, breathing in to hold, breathing out to peel back down again. And we'll just go for a couple more. The last one. And then let those arms come back and retrieve your head cushion. We're going to glue the legs together, take the arms a little bit wider. Just start from that position where the back's nice and heavy into the mat. And then we are going to imagine we've got our laser beam from our belly button shining up towards the ceiling. And we're going to turn that laser beam over to one side and just allow the legs to follow. Hold briefly for an in-breath, and then breathe out, draw that laser beam back across the ceiling, over to the other side. And again, let the legs follow. Nice breath out to draw that laser beam across, pausing for breath in. Just allowing your head to roll in the opposite direction to your knees, if that feels nice. And we just want to feel those waist muscles working. So maybe drawing that laser beam fairly slowly from one side to the other. Really keeping that feeling that the legs are just heavy and following the movement of the laser beam. Hopefully you can feel some waist muscles waking up and working there. Maybe notice how it feels as you draw the knees from one side to the other. And then how it is going back the other way. Whether you feel as much activation as the legs move one way as you do the other. And then you might want to keep going with that, or if you're happy to, you're going to pause when those knees come over to one side next time. Interlace the hands behind the back of the head and try and keep both those shoulder blades parallel to the floor or on the floor. And then we're going to breathe out, slide the ribs to the hips to come up into a little abdominal curl, and breathe in to release back. So we're keeping the knees over to one side, trying to keep the shoulders parallel to the floor. As we breathe out, slide those ribs to the hips, we come into a little abdominal curl, breathe in to release back. So really working into those obliques. We're just going to go for 3 and 2 and 1, and have a little pause. Take those knees over to the other side and pause, and then the same this way. Trying to keep those shoulders parallel to the floor, Breathing out to slide the ribs down towards the hips. Feeling those obliques working again. Just check those elbows are staying relatively wide. You can just see them in the periphery of your vision. And we'll go for 3 more. 3, 2, 1. And come back to center and release those arms and come back into a nice centered alignment. So feet back to hip width apart, little roll of the pelvis backwards and forwards and settle back into neutral. We're going to go into our single leg stretch. So we're just going to breathe out and slide one leg away, breathe in to slide back. Same on the other side. And if you've got your hands on the front of the pelvis, just checking that that pelvis staying nice and level. Those little bony hip points staying nice and still, not dipping down to one side or the other. You can feel there's a bit of movement going on. Just maybe think as you breathe out and reach the leg away that you're drawing those bony hip points in towards each other. So keeping that neutral position all the time, but there's that little feeling of tensioning through the deeper tummy muscles as you reach the leg away, and then just relaxing as you breathe in and that leg comes back. And then we will add in some arms. So we'll go opposite arm and leg as the one leg reaches away. Opposite arm's going to reach back overhead, and then they both return. And then same with the other pair. Just checking that again, those ribs just sink down as you breathe out and reach away. And then breathing in, nice big breath in as the arm and the leg come back. So maybe just checking in with where you can feel the pressure through the back of the body again. Checking that that doesn't change as you breathe out and reach away with the one arm and leg. And the same with the other pair. Just go one more to each side. And then have a little pause. We're going to go into our level 1 scissors. So breathing out to float one leg up, breathing in to come back down. Same on the other side. We could think about that leg being like the fishing rod again. So the leg, or sorry, the thigh is the rod and the lower leg is the line. And then the handle of your fishing rod is right down by your hip. And it's that handle of the fishing rod that floats the leg up and then controls it back down again. Again, just check in with that contact through the back of the body. It's staying exactly the same as that leg floats up and then gently back down again. So you might want to keep going as you are. If you'd like to work a bit harder, we can add in some abdo prep, in which case interlace those hands behind the back of the head. We go for straight abdo prep to start with. So as that one leg floats up, sliding the ribs to the hips, and then breathing into release back down. Same on the other side. And again, just checking that that pocket of air under the middle of the lower back, it stays exactly the same as you come into the abdo prep and float that leg up. So just moving at the hip and through that upper and mid back, keeping the lower back nice and neutral. Little check that if you had your soft peach between the chin and the chest, that's just staying there, it's not getting squashed, not letting it roll away. And then we're going to go into some oblique prep. So as the one leg comes up, we're taking the opposite shoulder over and across towards it, and then releasing back. Just going nice and slowly, really empty out all of that air, almost hold that position at the top just for a moment, and then release back again. We'll go 3 more to each side. 3, and 3, and 2, and 2, and 1, and 1, and release back and have a little pause. So we are going to come up into double tabletop as long as you're happy to. If that's not for you, you keep working with your scissors or your single leg stretch, or have one foot up and do the little heel peel or the foot peel on the other leg and switch over. But otherwise, first leg into single tabletop, sink those ribs down, and then float the second leg up to join. So we're going to go back into our scissors, but level 2 this time. Breathing out to touch the foot down, breathing in to come back up. Same on the other side. Each time you breathe out, really think about those tummy muscles sinking down. Breathing in to come back up again. So you can keep those shoulders nice and wide. Shoulder blades sliding down the back of the rib cage. So if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, just touch that foot a little bit further away from you as it goes towards the floor. Still thinking about that fishing rod idea. The handle is right down by your hip and that lowers the leg and then floats it back up again. Okay, let's go for one more each side. And then hold. We're going to glue those legs together. We're going to go back into a hip twist. So if you'd rather have your feet on the floor, that's absolutely fine. Arms wide. Breathing out to turn that laser beam over to one side. Pause for a breath in. Breathing out to draw that laser beam over towards the other side, and the legs follow. Pausing for a breath in. So, and just looking over the other shoulder, keeping those shoulder blades glued to the mat. Arms are going to work a little bit, but try and keep them heavy and relaxed. Keeping those shoulder blades glued to the floor. And we are going to add in an optional reach through just the top leg. So those legs can come across, hold, straighten that top leg, and fold back in. Twice more. Reach and back. Reach and back. And then the same over to the other side. Hit that position, straighten out through the top leg and back. Reach. Last one. On that side. We've still got a couple of sets to go, I'm afraid. Coming over to this side again, just that top leg, reaching out, folding back, reaching out, folding back. Last one. And then back to the other side. Breathe out as you straighten that top leg. Breathe in as it comes back. We're going to do one more set on each side if you're right there. Coming back across. 1, 2, 3. Last set. 1, 2, 3. Come back to center. Have a little pause and a rest if you need to. Otherwise, bring those legs back to hip width apart. Interlace the hands behind the back of the head. We're just going into single leg stretch to start with. So breathing out to reach one leg away, breathing in to come back. Again, really think about those tummy muscles sinking towards the floor as you breathe out, just releasing, relaxing as you breathe in, and that leg comes back. Keeping either your neutral position, or you may well be flatter into the mat now, that's absolutely fine. But making sure you're comfortable, making sure you keep the position the same all of the time, whether you're flat or in neutral, looking good. So we're going to add in some abdo prep. As that leg reaches away, sliding the ribs to the hips, breathing in to come back. So just straight abdo prep to start with. We have got a little bit further to go, not too much. So do have a rest and a reset if you feel you need to. Much better to do a few less reps and really keep the position. So we'll go one more each side with the straight abdo prep. And I'm going to go into oblique prep. So as the one leg reaches away, opposite shoulder is coming across towards the stationary knee or the bent knee. Really reach long through that leg. Keep using that breath, breathing out, empty out all that air. Almost hold that position at the top for a moment before you release back and then go over to the other side. We're just going to go for 3 more in each direction. 3 and 3 and 2 and 2 and 1 and 1, and then we'll all curve into a little ball and just have a little roll round on the lower back there. One way, and then the other way. And guys, good work. Hopefully that's burnt off an Easter egg or two. So when you're ready, we're going to come over onto one side and do a little bit of work in clam. So come on over so you've got your shoulder, hip and your heels in a nice straight line, knees bent. And we'll have that top hip reaching away from you and then slightly forwards. And then we're just going to breathe out to open the top knee, breathe in to come back down again. So making sure that pelvis stays completely still. Just getting that work into the back pocket muscles as that hip joint rotates. If you want to, you can always take top hand up towards the ceiling, which makes it a little bit, teeny bit harder work through the middle there. Just check shoulders relaxed, weight of that arms just sinking down into the shoulder. So obviously we're working those bum muscles, but hopefully you can also feel some tummy muscles working gently just to keep you in position there. Keep you still as that leg moves. And then if you'd like to work up into level 2, we can pop those feet up, and same again, keeping that top hip reaching away from you. Keeping that little bit of lift through the tummy, ribs are nice and soft. Just check they're not popped forwards, they're just staying nice and connected. We're going to go for 3, 2 and 1. As long as your shoulder's all right, we are going to do a little bit of work into a little side bend. If your shoulder's not happy with that, just go back to working with a bit of clam. That's absolutely fine. So just bring those feet back a little bit. So you've got a slightly more open hip. Knees are almost in line with those hips. And then really lift out of that shoulder. And then when you're ready, we're just breathing out to squeeze those hips up and breathing in to come back down again. They're quite small to start with. Just really think about those knees pushing away from you, top of the head reaching the other way. Breathing out just to come up into that little side plank, breathing in to come back down. So just really feeling that underside of the waist switching on as you come up, and gently switching off as you come back down. And then we're going to add a bit more of a side bend. So as you come up this time, we're going to take the hand up towards the ceiling, really take those hips up, let that top arm come all the way over, and then come all the way back down again. Just check that elbows really underneath that shoulder. Keep lifting out that shoulder as you take the hips up towards the ceiling, all the way over that top arm, and then gently back down again. We're going to go for 3 more. Up and over. Breathing in to come back. Last couple. Really take those hips up. Imagine you've got a sling underneath your hips, pulling you up towards the ceiling. Last one. And then gently back down. Well done. Prop yourself up. As long as you're comfortable in this position with those feet tucked back, that's great. Otherwise, legs straight out in front. And we'll just stretch out through that side that's just worked. So breathing out to come over. Breathing in to come back again. So nice and slowly again, finding that stretch. A couple more. Last one. Well done. And then we'll just do that little set on the other side. So setting up the clown again to start with, shoulder, hip, heels in line. Top hip just slightly forwards and then reaching away. And then just breathing out to open that top knee and breathing in to come back down again. And you just check that pelvis doesn't budge. Check it staying absolutely still. There's no rolling backwards. It is just that back pocket area of your bum working. You can use that top hand just to make sure there's no movement, no roll backwards through that pelvis. And if you want to, hand can go up towards the ceiling instead, once you've checked pelvis isn't moving. And again, ribs nice and soft. Weight of that arm just dropping down into the shoulder, shoulder nice and relaxed. Breathing out to open and breathing in to close. Just noticing how that feels on this side, whether it's similar to the other side, or you've got maybe a little bit more range, or it gets tired a little bit more quickly, anything like that. And then if you'd like to, you can put those feet up into the air and we'll just work into level 2. So that bottom leg has to work a little bit harder as well. Keeping those feet nice and steady, keeping them at the same height that you set to start. Those little bum muscles get a little bit tired, just keep the breath going, keep the oxygen going to those muscle cells. Well done. We will just go for 3, 2, 1. Well done. Let those legs come down, let the arm come down. Pop those legs back behind you a little bit so you're a bit more open through the hip again. Prop yourself up onto that bottom arm. So again, really lift out the shoulder, just a little squeeze of those hips up as you breathe out and release back down as you breathe in. Just really notice all of this bottom side of the body switching on as you come up and releasing as you come down, reaching those knees away from you and the top of the head in the opposite direction as you come up, and then just releasing back down again. It's a really small movement, but really feeling those muscles through the side of the body. Just check you're keeping sort of shoulders aligned, so you're not tilting forwards, not tilting backwards. You had your headlights shining out of your chest, they're just shining straight ahead, not heading up towards the ceiling, not heading down towards the floor. So a couple more just like that. And then we're going to take a bit further with that reach of the top arm. So breathing out, taking those hips even further up towards the ceiling. Arm comes overhead, and then breathing in to come back again. Long breath out. So still lifting out that bottom shoulder. Check that elbow right underneath you. And we'll just go for 3 more. 3, 2, and last one, 1, and come back, and just prop yourself up again. If you're comfy with those feet tucked back, that's super, otherwise straight out in front, and we'll stretch out that side, breathing out to come over, and breathing in to come back again. Getting slightly blinded by the sun now. So nice to have sunshine though. Let's just go for a couple more. And last one. All done. And come back to centre. And we will come back onto the mat. So slowly lower yourself down, grab your head cushion. Let's have knees together, arms wide, back nice and relaxed into the mat. And we'll just let those knees roll gently from one side back to the other. Looking over the opposite shoulder again. Just moving nice and slowly, finding that bit of stretch through one side. And then through the other. And if you would like to make that a little bit stronger, just pause in the centre, cross the one leg over the other, and we'll do a couple to each side with legs this way around. Keeping those shoulder blades glued to the mat. And then just switch those legs over and do a couple to each side with the legs crossed this way. And then coming back to centre, unravel those legs, and then we're going to cross one ankle over the other knee, and then that knee is sticking out and reaching away to the side. And again, we'll just do a little roll of those legs one side to the other, just a couple in each direction. And then you might want to keep going with that, or if you want to make it stronger, draw that second leg towards the chest. Keep the back nice and long on the mat. And then if you want to, just a little rock side to side. Just trying to find that stretch into the back pocket muscles in the bottom a little bit. Possibly around the side of the hip as well, possibly into the inner thigh as well, depending on where you're tight, really. And then just coming back to centre, gently release, and we'll do the same on the other side. So crossing that other ankle over, arms wide, and just letting those knees roll to one side, and then to the other. And then you might want to keep going, or if you want to, you can make it stronger, draw that second leg in, find that stretch, and then maybe a little rock side to side if you want to. But then trying to keep that back long on the mat. You want your tailbone reaching for the floor, so your back stays long, and that stretch really isolates into and around the hip. And then just come to centre. You're going to come up to sit, so either a little roll backwards and forwards, or just roll yourself to one side and roll yourself up and push yourself up to sit. So let's go one leg out nice and straight. See if I can sit somewhere I'm not being blinded. One leg out straight, other knee out to the side, or both legs straight if that's comfier for you. Have a nice deep breath in and reach up, and then breathing out to come down towards that straight leg, and just breathe into that. If it feels good to have a little move, maybe side to side, or point the toes and then flex the ankle. Just do whatever feels like it feels a bit easier and a bit nicer. Just a little bit of movement through that stretch. And just make sure you're keeping that breath going. Nice, easy, deep breaths. And let that body relax into the stretch. And then when you're ready, have a little pause. Just walk those hands back up towards you. Keep the legs where they are. Another breath in to reach up. Breath out to twist towards that straight leg. And breathing in to grow a bit taller. Breathing out, maybe twisting a little bit more. And then just release back to centre, switch those legs over. Same again this side, breathing in to reach up, breathing out to come down towards that foot. Doesn't matter where you get to, just finding that bit of stretch. And then maybe a little bit of movement in there. If you'd like to do like a little rock side to side, or just to straighten through that foot and then a pull of the toes back towards you. Just getting a little bit of movement there. those nice deep breaths, keeping that breath flowing to where you feel the stretch. And then just gradually walk those hands back up towards you. Keep the legs where they are. Breath in to reach up and a breath out to twist to the other side or towards that straight leg. And again, breathing in, growing a little bit taller. Breathing out, maybe twisting a little bit more. And then when you're ready, release back to centre. Just come and sit however you're comfy, whether that's legs crossed or legs out in front, doesn't matter. Just have a little stretch through those shoulders. So just let's come, so we come over into a little side bend and then take that hand back and around behind you and just allow your head to roll so you look to the floor and then a little bit towards the ceiling. So you're just finding a little bit of stretch through the top of that shoulder into the neck a little bit there. And then just very gently looking towards the floor and a tiny bit towards the ceiling. And keep it really small. If your neck's not short, just maybe just hold that stretch. You don't necessarily have to move your head. And then release that arm, bring it back overhead. And then as it comes back over, we'll bring the body up as well. And then we'll just do that same little stretch the other way. So coming over, side bend, that arm comes overhead, and then take it back and around behind you. And then just allow the head to roll, so you look towards the floor, and then a little bit towards the ceiling. So again, you just got that stretch through the top of the shoulder into the neck, just moving gently one side and the other. Again, if your neck doesn't like it, don't feel you've got to go there at all. Just hold it or just come out of that. And have a little pause with the gaze forward, unravel that arm, let it come overhead and then let it bring you all the way back up to centre. And we'll just take one hand down behind the back of the neck and a little stretch through the back of that arm. If that is tough for you, please don't push it. Like try and allow the elbow to point further out or allow it forwards, but try and keep your head sort of balanced on the top of your neck. Just come into where you can feel a stretch. It doesn't have to be some kind of contortion challenge. That's it. Well done. And then gently release. And then we'll just do the same on the other side. So other hand comes down back neck. So my right shoulder, as we know, doesn't go so far, so I can't bring that elbow up towards the ceiling so easily. So no biggie, just finding the stretch. Don't try and force it anywhere it can't go. A couple more breaths here. And then gently release. Just have a little roll through those shoulders. And we'll make our way up to stand. So maybe rolling forwards over those crossed legs, but somehow bringing yourself onto hands and knees. Tuck the toes under, roll back over those feet. So you can keep the hands on the mat, hips up towards the ceiling. Just have a couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready, bend the knees, drop the tailbone and gently unroll. Back up to stand, and we will just finish as usual. Nice big breath in and reach up. 2 more. Last one. There we go. Well done, team. Let's just sort the old screen out.